To India now, where French President Emmanuel Macron is on a 4-day visit. Macron wants France to become India's main European investment destination after Brexit. The two sides are also expected to discuss French investments in India. They're likely to sign a framework agreement to build a nuclear power plant in the western state of Maharashtra. The plant in Jaitapur has been under discussion since 2009. India and France have yet to finalise crucial aspects of the deal, such as financing. The 9,900 megawatt power project is set to have 6 reactors and would be India's largest power plant. French energy giant Électricité de France signed a preliminary deal with the Nuclear Power Corporation of India in 2016 to build the French-designed reactors. Let's get more on Macron's visit to India now and bring in Neha Poonia, who joins us from New Delhi. Hello, Neha. Great to see you on the show. Give us an idea of how bad India's energy sector is. I mean, India's still, and plenty of people in India still are without electricity, aren't they?
Absolutely, and it's a very peculiar position that India is in, and like most things here in our country, this situation too is quite contrary. Last year, Azhar, you had India becoming a power surplus nation, which meant it was exporting excess power it was generating to our neighboring countries, but still there are about 300 million people in the country who don't have access to electricity.
That is quite startling, isn't it? That on the one hand, it has an excess of power, but on the other hand, so many people are still without it. So this new power plant in Maharashtra, how much is it likely to cost?
Like you said, this project has been in the discussion phase for almost nearly a decade now. And when talks first started, the estimate was about $4 billion, but now experts are pegging it at about $17 billion. And of course, we'll only find out more when the two leaders meet and hold that discussion tomorrow. But the big worry is that there is so much that's unknown about this project. There are so many variables that have changed over the last 8 to 9 years that this might be a conservative estimate. And keeping in mind how expensive it is to set up a nuclear power plant, experts are telling me the number could be very, very much higher than what I'm talking about.
And if that is the case, what are people saying about whether the Indian government can actually afford to do this?
That's also one of the reasons why this plant has seen such a long delay as well, because as far as locals are concerned, they were highly opposed to that nuclear plant being set up in Jaitapur. There are several reasons for that. One, of course, locals refused to give up the land that would be needed to set up this nuclear plant on. There were many concerns about the nuclear waste that would be generated. Locals were asking questions like, where would it be dumped? The government hasn't answered that question either. This area where this plant will be set up is also in an earthquake-prone zone. So that's another big concern that anti-nuclear activists have been raising as well. And this plant is expected to use seawater for cooling purposes. So what's going to be the impact on the locals there, as well as on the fisheries industries? All of these are unanswered questions.
Having said all that, of course, India's reliance on traditional coal-fired plants is also a problem, isn't it? I mean, it's leading to pollution in plenty of cities, including New Delhi. It's a pretty clear day. I can see where you are right now, but it hasn't been like that in the past.
That's absolutely right. I mean, it was only a few months ago that all the headlines all over the world were speaking of the deadly smog in Delhi. And I can tell you that's a problem we face every single year, every time winter sets in. And there were a whole bunch of studies conducted last year as well. One worrying estimate was that in 2015, almost 2 million people in India died because of pollution, out of which 1 million were air pollution-related deaths. So that's the kind of problem that we're really looking at when we speak of India's dependence on traditional means for generating power. But the Indian government has said it wants to cut down its reliance on coal and combustible sources of fuel, and it has committed, as per the Paris Accord, to significantly cut down its dependence on coal and start using renewable energy instead by 2030. So that's really also why the Indian government is pushing so hard for the Jetapur plant despite it being so expensive and despite the project having dragged on for so long.
OK, we'll leave it there. Neha Poonia in New Delhi. Thank you very much indeed.